Okay, I promise this is the last one. So Colin Gray, he's been found guilty. This is the timeline of events. He gets a text message from Jenny at school. School's on lockdown. He's like, have you heard from your brother? She says no, but she tells him, I think we're thinking the same thing. He's like, 10-4, copy that. Let's not talk on the phone. I'll see you after. Tells the people he's working with that not that there's a school lockdown and he needs to leave work, but rather that Colt broke his arm and so that's why he needs to leave work. He then doesn't go right home. No, no, no. He actually leaves work and he goes and puts $20 of cash in his gas tank, buys a drink on his card from the gas station. Then he goes home. And when he goes home, he's looking for the gun because he knew. He had checked Colt's room, it wasn't there. And then he tells them in court that he had gone into his room. This shelf is where he hid the guns and put them up and put them away. This was the safety precaution for these children in this home, but for Colt. Just in a shelf with some clothes, and I would just, put it in between the clothes, and that was enough that they would have to use a step stool to get up there. So it was safe. He tells the court he moved all the clothes. He like pulls them down, rips them down during his testimony. I'm looking for the gun. Gun's not there. Except when they get there and the cops get there and they take pictures, it doesn't look like he really shuffled much because he knew he didn't have to shuffle anything. Then this is where we're going to wrap up the timeline. The posters of Nicholas Cruz on that wall. He swears he didn't know who it was or what that was, and he doesn't really remember seeing it. Even though, if you were to go into Colt's room, as soon as you walk in, that wall right there is where the shrine of Nicholas Cruz was. If you look at every other wall in the room, it's blank. There's nothing there besides one deer antler on one of the walls here, but there's nothing hanging up in that room. He swears he didn't know. I didn't know. I had no idea. That's very odd. It's very strange. His daughter said they knew who it was. His mother did Google searches to find out who Nicholas Cruz was. They Google searched the Crumbly family to see how much time they were going to get if they were charged with the crimes of their son. And then there's a bomb drop though, because you're telling me you don't know who Nicholas Cruz is. However, his sister has already testified that they did know and that Colt did tell them who he was in detail and that he was a school shooter and all the other things. And September 5th, the day after, he ends up taking Jenny to the treehouse for investigation so they could interview her because of what Colt did. And on the way there, Jenny had testified during this trial and she told everyone in the court that her dad specifically told her to not bring up the fact that they knew who those pictures were. Do not tell them that we were aware that he had a literal shrine in his room to Nicholas Cruz and that he was a school shooter and that we had any knowledge of it. Why is that? And that is the timeline of events. So now you can see it for yourself. When it comes to Colin Gray, he's been found guilty. He has been found guilty on all those charges. When sentencing comes, he's facing upwards to 30 years in prison. And again, in some twisted way, weird way, I have a feeling he really thought like my son might just take himself out and I won't have to deal with him anymore. And the only reason I actually think that, and what I think I believe for sure, is that he wasn't in fear for his own life. He wasn't in fear for his children's lives, and he didn't seem to be in fear for his ex-wife or his wife's life, Colt's mom. I feel like he just thought, you know what, maybe this kid has already been harming himself. He's already been talking about how he needs help and wants help, and you know, maybe he'll just do it to himself. Maybe he'll just hurt himself. Maybe he thought he might hurt people outside of the home, but he didn't have an urgency in it. And I really have this, again, weird feeling that he thought at the end of the day, if I just give him everything he wants, maybe he'll just go outside somewhere and just be done with it. Or he'll go to a school, he'll do what he's going to do. Because how could you not know this is what he's going to do? He was in a chat room talking about it. You're providing him everything he needs to do it. Maybe he'll go to school and do it, and then he'll go to prison for life, or he'll take his own life, or they'll kill him along the way when they get to the school, and then I won't have to worry about it anymore because it's not that big of a deal. And it's heartbreaking, and it's a very horrible, shitty, shameful excuse of a parent. And I feel bad for his sister. I feel bad for his younger brother. Um, and honestly, again, I don't have empathy for these kids who do things like this, but in this situation, unfortunately, you can see the receipt and you can see the trail that this 14-year-old kid was crying out for help. And I think his parents just thought, you know what, it's okay. He can just, at some point, he'll just himself and we won't have to deal with it. Or, he might hurt other people, but it won't be in our home. So then the law will deal with it. And that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day. Stay safe. Keep your eyes on your kids. Keep them off social media. Keep them on age appropriate things because, listen, it is literally the devil's playground. When you start allowing them access to the phones and the screens and the internet, you don't know what they're getting into. This kid was researching, looking up, and getting into dark holes on the internet from an early age of like 10, 11 years old. It should have never happened. This was definitely preventable. And that's all I got.